Hi friends, welcome to my channel where I talk about books, cats, travel, and languages. In this video, we will be talking about traveling to Korea, and I will give you a guide about the neighborhoods, about what to do in Korea, and especially in Seoul, and some tips and tricks to make your travel in Seoul a bit better. And without further ado, let's get started with the video. And before the video starts, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel and if you could give it a thumbs up. I spent 6 months in Seoul, South Korea in 2022 for an exchange semester, and during that semester I had done a lot of things and I couldn't imagine a better semester. So it was the best time of my life. I really enjoyed my time there, and I did spend a lot of time going out, traveling with friends, and drinking and going out, and basically studying also. First of all, before getting into Seoul, I will ask you some questions about planning your travel, because when you're traveling to somewhere, you have to decide on 3 things. 1, budget. 2, how long you're staying. 3, what you like to do. So deciding how long you're gonna stay totally depends on your preferences and on what you expect from your travels. So personally, because I was going to Asia for the first time to a new country and for such a long time, I did not plan ahead like all of my days or all of my weeks. I just planned like monthly travel guides. But if you're staying for a short amount of time, you might have a different idea of as to what you want to do in your Seoul time. So basically, you have to decide on how long you're staying and then plan ahead. Second of all, what would you like to do? In Seoul, you have so many activities that you can do, such as going out, drinking, clubbing, going to cute cafes, going to cat cafes, dog cafes. You have like raccoon cafes. So it's totally up to you on what to do and what activities you're planning to do. And according to that, you can find more specific recommendations on what you want to do. And the third one is your budget. So how much are you planning to spend on your travel? In my opinion, because I'm from Turkey, I don't come from a country where it is very wealthy or the economic state of citizens are really good. So all I could say that Seoul was amazing in budgeting because I could do everything and I could also abide by my own budget. I spent within my budget, but I did all of the things that I wanted to do. So it's totally doable to have a budget-friendly travel in Korea, and especially in Seoul. If you're going to like a smaller city in Korea, you would spend less, of course, because it's a smaller city. But personally, I loved spending money in Seoul because it was all budget-friendly and it was cheap. It was as cheap as my own country. This video is categorized into 3. 1, I will give you a tour of the neighborhoods. Then I will give you some tips and advice on where to go, what to do, some cultural and touristic attractions. And lastly, I will give you some recommendations that would make your life traveling easier in Seoul. So the neighborhoods are quite different from each other, although they are very close by. So I will start with Gangnam. So Gangnam is, as you know, very luxurious, very high-end neighborhood. You will see lots of beauty clinics and you will see lots of people going out and in of beauty clinics, and it's full of K-pop attractions. The biggest flagship store of Muji is there, I think. Well, basically in Gangnam you can shop for anything and everything. Codex Mall is also there. So Gangnam is definitely a must-visit place. When I went to Korea for the first time ever, the first day out of my quarantine, because back then it was COVID, we spent the day in Kangnam, then took a bus to Itwan, or maybe even walked. I don't really remember. We might have gone to Itwan and then walked back to Kangnam.
3 hours later.
Yeah, we were in Itaewon first and then we came to Gangnam with a bus. It took us like a 5 to 10 minutes ride. It was really cheap. It's like $1 or $2. I don't really remember now. But it was quite cheap and it was quite, you know, close by. So we spent the first day visiting Itaewon and also Gangnam. So it's totally doable in one day, although it'll be a bit of rush, but no, you can do that because Seoul is definitely a smaller city, so you have lots of things to do, but because it is a small city, you can just visit walking all around the city. It's like Paris, but more activities. In Gangnam, I love Karosugil. It's a place full of boutiques, full of shops, full of accessory shops, and you also have thrift shops. So if you're into like thrift shopping, you could definitely pop by the Karosu street, and it's such a beautiful street too, so I think you'll definitely like it. 좋겠어. She's sleeping in there. And in Kangnam, you have a temple called Pongunsa Temple. You will see a lot of people praying, and because it was the Buddha's birthday when we visited, it was quite nice. You had all the lights and it was really pretty, and if you're a believer, then it feels kind of spiritual. So I would definitely recommend going to the Pongunsa Temple if you have time. Second neighborhood that I'm going to talk about is Hongdae. And in Hongdae, well, everyone knows how Hongdae is. Hongdae is basically full of youth, full of young people, and full of clubs, karaoke clubs, and arcade clubs. So it is basically a place where you have fun at night. I personally don't like Hongdae at night at all, but if you ask me, how many times have you been to Hongdae when you were there? I could say 3 times a week, or maybe 4, or maybe 5. I was there the whole time. I would go after school, I would be there during the weekend to shop, and sometimes we would go to the arcade, we would go to the karaoke shops, and we would also visit some of the restaurants that we liked. There was a Taiwanese restaurant that we would go to, and in Hongdae you have a lot of good cafes and beautiful shops. So I definitely would recommend going to Hongdae. Maybe it's not for you at night, but during the day they have a lot of like cute like clothing stores. It has a lot of like Korean stationery shops and skincare shops. They have a big Olive Young there, so I could totally recommend going to Hongdae even if you don't want to go clubbing, because I personally don't like clubbing. But when I went to Hongdae, we would just go to the arcade and just have the time of our lives, because we don't have that arcade culture in my country, and most of my friends were American, and we enjoyed the whole time spending there. And those arcade games are just so fun, such a fun activity. The third neighborhood is Itwan, but first I want to take a sip of my tea. So, Itwan is the place that I visited the most. It isn't very beautiful in my opinion, because it's just the one long street full of shops, restaurants, and full of diverse restaurants. They have Turkish shops, Uzbek shops, restaurants, like Taiwanese food. So you have everything, like Chinese food. It's full of like international people, so you can actually see more international people than Korean people there. But because I would go to Itaewon simply because of my Korean friend wanting to eat Turkish patisserie and Turkish food, I would be there like once a week, and I would shop around, and we would go to the troubadour store. It is a good like clothing store. I actually wore one of the t-shirts that I bought from there in one of my videos. I still like Itaewon, and you have all of the like nice clubs, you have all of the nice restaurants and nice areas of shopping and cafes. Because Itaewon is really high, the SEOUL Tower is also there, so if you want to have like a panoramic view of the city, Itaewon is the place. And if you go a little bit higher, you have a lot of like independent cafes and restaurants, and I could totally recommend going there because of that also. And in Itaewon, you have tons of karaoke.
3 hours later.
What did I call it? Yeah, they have like karaoke places, so you can actually do that. It's very fun. I haven't had that in Turkey before, so really enjoyed being there and doing that. 'Cause I love singing, although my singing voice isn't as pretty. And now, Insadong. Insadong is basically known for traditional Korean arts, crafts, and tea houses, and the top spots are Samjigil Shopping Center, Insadong Tea House, and also Anguk. In my opinion, Insadong is the best spot in Seoul to go on a chill day. It's lovely. It's my favorite spot. It is amazing. It's full of cute cafes, Hanok cafes, and it's basically in the center of everything, so it's close by everywhere. So it has all of these like tiny alleys that you can walk through and just find like really good gems of restaurants and cafes. They have those like photo booths, and it's such a good place during the night and also during the day. I visited during the day and also during the night. All I can say is that after like 9 to 10 p.m. it gets quite not busy. It is very deserted. I don't know why, but because I think they don't have like many clubs and many like nighttime activities, the street just goes a little bit dead after 10 p.m. But I really love eating there, and they have really cute cafes, so I could totally recommend. Fifth place is Insadong. After Insadong, I think I love Insadong the most because in Insadong you have all these cute cafes. Again, I'm a big cafe girly. I love to go to cafes just to, you know, spend my evening and in peace and reading and all that cozy stuff. So I love Insadong. The cafes that I can recommend are Nagwon Station Cafe, and the second one is Onion. Onion is actually very popular, and if you're into Korea, you probably know who SEOUL is. The Danish YouTuber who lives in Seoul. She is basically recommending all these cafes and cute cozy stores in Seoul. So she actually introduced me into Onion, and Onion is amazing. It is this traditional Hanok cafe type place, and you actually sit down without your shoes and you spend basically drinking coffee, eating patisserie. So it is quite beautiful and it is quite nice and comfy and cozy. So I could totally recommend going to Onion if you want to experience the Korean cafe culture. So until now you might be saying, why is she recommending all of these like cafe places? Don't they have anything else? Yes, they do. But currently I am just recommending you some of the, like I'm just explaining how the neighborhoods are and what is there and what is not there and what to do and what not to do in those neighborhoods. So because I'm a big cafe girly, I know all about cafes in Seoul. So I spent 6 months there and going to cafes. So I basically know neighborhoods like that and just mark neighborhoods like that and categorize them. So these neighborhoods are known for these stuff. So I'm just recommending you what is there. And of course there are palaces and all of that like tourist attractions. I will give information on them at the end of the video, so just stay tuned for that. Getting to know the neighborhoods would help you while you're traveling as to where you're going and where you're not going. So Mongdong. Mongdong is known for its shopping and street food. Those street food and shopping videos that you see on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, they're all filmed in Mongdong. Although when I was there, Mongdong wasn't as popular as it used to be because of COVID. So many shops were closed, so many places were just, they went bankrupt and stuff. So Mongdong wasn't as popular as it used to be when I was there, but I know Mongdong was still so popular, and it had all of these like K-pop shop, Apple flagship store, all of these like beautiful like street art. There are tons of K-pop stores that you can buy albums and packs, and they actually give you a coupon code for seeing your idols on stage, like Music Bank and stuff. They have all of those like recommended like buy 10 and get 1 coupon and stuff like that. I didn't do that. I wasn't really big on like going to like those like events, but I did buy some of my albums. Can you see? No, you can't see, but some of my albums from Mongdong and also subway stations. In Mongdong subway station, they have this big K-pop store, and it's cheap and it's very beautiful because you can find everything and anything, and if you ask them to bring something, they can order it for you. So actually Myeongdong subway is also a good shopping place. Apgujeong and Gangnam. I have a bit of a unpopular opinion on Apgujeong. Most Korean young people don't really like Apgujeong. Apgujeong is not for commoners, as they say. It is for luxurious, more elite, more, rich people. And I personally disagree. Maybe it is because I'm white. Maybe it is because I'm not Korean. Maybe it is because I don't speak Korean as well as Korean people yet. I loved being in Apgujeong. I love the clubbing there. I love the streets. I love the alleyways. And I love how stylish people actually are. Although I haven't been to a club in Apgujeong because again, as I said, I don't like clubbing. But I love the clubbing culture there because it's more about socializing and having fun rather than just like meeting, and it's not as bad as Hongdae. Like I love Apgujeong for that, and it's very like elite and stuff like that, so it's very respectful, and they have really beautiful cafes, and I loved going one of the cafes. Let me just find my phone and then give you an example of how beautiful cafes in Gangnam can be. We went to, so in Apgujeong they have the London Bagel Museum, and around there they have this, they have the Apgujeong Goryo statue, and Tmoney Cafe. It is this beautiful cafe. You can do the four-cut pictures. And the place that we actually went to, it is the Cafe Conte de Tuileries. So it's basically, it is quite possible to see famous people and just run into them. Personally, I haven't run into any famous people living 6 months in Korea, but I probably ran into them. I just didn't realize that they were famous because we were wearing masks all the time, so I couldn't really tell anyone from their eyes at all. So Dongdaemun is, I think, good. The Dongdaemun Design Plaza is beautiful, but I personally don't find it as good as other people do. It is good, but I think it is overrated. The area is full of street food and, the malls, and the Design Plaza has a shop, SM shop, and they also have really cute stationery stores. But I personally don't like the Dongdaemun area as much because I think it is a must to go to the Dongdaemun Design Plaza, the DDP. They have a park in front of it, and I could totally recommend. And near DDP there is the riverside flowing, so I could totally go there and just spend like an hour sitting by the river and just seeing it flow and all of that. So I could totally recommend going there. Samcheongdong. So Samcheongdong is a bit weird because you have all of these like high-end stores, and you have all of these like high-story buildings and like skyscrapers, and then the other side is full of palaces, the Gyeongbokgung Palace and the Changdeokgung Palace. So it's quite like different, and it's quite like showing you the contrary side of Seoul. It's historical, but it's also technological and very futuristic, so it's definitely a place to see.
Even like I made a video, like I make TikTok videos, and I made a TikTok video about Mongdong and like how it's changed so much. Yeah. And it went super viral. So interesting.
You do TikTok, right?
TikTok famous. No, I'm not even famous. It's just that one video went super viral. Their masks are even.
Oh, right. They're wearing a special mask.
Lastly, Jeongdo. Jeongdo is actually a place mostly, it's not very residential, it's usually like shops and stuff. But in Jeongdo, they have the Gwangjang market where you can actually eat all of the street food, just see how Korean people shop and eat great tteokbokki. I loved going to the Gwangjang market. It's not like very like high-end place like the DDP or I don't know, like Kangnam. It's more local, and it's beautiful. It's just a market, and you have everything, anything that you can eat. And it's quite cheap. So I went there with my Korean friend once, and that was it. But it's just an experience to go. And I could totally recommend going to the Gwangjang market because you can have everything that you want to have, eat, and just spend a whole day in Gwangjang market. It's small, but you can actually spend a whole day. We spent like 4 hours and then went to the DDP afterwards. So you can actually do Dongdaemun and Jongro at once. And in Jongdo, there is the Gwanghamun Square with the statues of Admiral Lee Sun-shin and also the King Sejong, the great Joseon Dynasty king. They also have the Cheonggyecheon, the river flowing out, the biggest bookstore Kyobo near the riverside. So it is really nice area around that Cheonggyecheon, and you can actually sit by. And so I love actually the Cheonggyecheon area of Jongdo, not the other side. If you're coming to Seoul in the springtime, Yeouido is actually one of my favorite spots because you can see how the cherry blossoms fall, and it is really pretty. And they have the Hyundai and they have a few other malls that you can actually visit and shop. And Yeouido is full of like, you know, man-made islands, and I actually could recommend going there on spring. If you're coming on spring, you can actually go to the Seokcheon Lake. The Seokcheon Lake is in Jamsil area, and it is a man-made lake, I think, and it's like a whole like circle, and you walk under the cherry blossom trees, and it's really pretty. But I should warn you, if you're single and if you're going there alone, or if you're going there with family, it might get quite annoying because it is full of like couples and it's quite romantic, so it might get annoying and a little bit sad, so I should warn you beforehand. And it's near Jamsil, where most of the sports complexes are. So if you're actually going for K-pop, and if you're going for K-pop concerts, you'll go to Jamsil. And the last 3 neighborhoods are Tuksum, Seongsu-dong, Bukchon. Tuksum is a beloved park in Seoul. It is located along the Han River. It is a great spot to hear the relaxing water and just walk and bike along the riverside. So Tuksum is actually quite beautiful, and they have this beautiful mall with containers. Bumpo Park is also nearby, so I could totally recommend going to Tuksum and to the Bumpo Bridge and just watch the colorful lights at 8, I think. During the summertime, they have this light show at Bumpo, so do not miss it if you're going to Tuksum. Seongsu-dong is actually the Brooklyn of Seoul, and it is a trendy neighborhood with renovated Hanok places. It's popular because it's hip and it has this creative atmosphere, and it is also near Tuksum Han River Park. So I could actually recommend you to do the Tuksum at night and Bumpo at night, and doing the Seongsu-dong during the day, so you can visit the whole area in one single day. And the last neighborhood I would like to talk about is Bukchon. Bukchon is the Hanok Village, and if you researched before this video, you totally know how Bukchon is, but I should warn you, I think Bukchon was the most expensive area that I have ever been in Seoul. It even more expensive than Gangnam, and I'm not even kidding. Because in Bukchon, me and my Dutch friend were going to visit the Hanok Village. We walked around the neighborhood, took some pictures, and felt like princesses and princes walking along the alleys. And you can actually, you know, rent a hanbok, like the Korean traditional dress, and just walk around the neighborhood. But for us, we went to this coffee tea shop, and it was $10 for simple black coffee, and it wasn't a good black coffee, and it was sold as the traditional Korean black coffee, and it was horrible. So I should warn you on not doing that. Just visit the area, go to a cafe, but try not to overspend because it's quite expensive, and it is not normally expensive in Seoul. In Bukchon, there are like really beautiful tea shops and coffee shops, but you have to actually find one that suits what you need and what you want to, you know, have. Now that I explained all of the neighborhoods in depth, I will give you some recommendations on where to visit in Seoul. So the first one is the National Museum of Korea. It is the first museum I visited with Ray. Shout out to her. We spent the whole evening visiting the first floor, not even the second and third floors. It was such a big museum and it was lovely, it was beautiful. So I could totally recommend you going to a museum, even if you're not interested in visiting museums. National Museum of Korea has all of these like installations and everything, so I could totally recommend you going there. In Seoul, you have tons of palaces. Gyeongbokgung and Changdeokgung are two main palaces that are like in the same neighborhood. Gyeongbokgung is bigger and Gyeongbokgung is more popular. People visit Gyeongbokgung and they don't really go to Changdeokgung because they think that Gyeongbokgung actually is all there's to see about Korean palaces. Personally, I love Changdeokgung more because it has this like lake that you can visit during the day and just have some sort of like a picnic time, and just it's really pretty. But be aware that if you go there late, you won't be able to go to the lakeside. So just, you know, go early and just visit the Changdeokgung Palace as well. You can actually rent some hanbok and just walk around the palaces in your hanbok and take pictures, and it's a good memory. I have tons of like palace like hanbok shots, and so it's really pretty, so I could totally recommend. And the second museum that I would recommend is the Reum Museum. The Reum Museum is actually a more cosmopolitan, more westernized art, and you can actually see on your idols pages, especially like RM's and Chaunu's pages, about their visits to Reum, because Reum is very popular among like the celebrities, and it's very big, and it isn't very busy as the National Museum of Korea, and I could recommend going there on a rainy summer day because no one actually goes there during the summer. But they have really good installations, they have really good traditional art, and they also have the historical art of Korea. So Reum Museum is actually pretty good, so I could recommend. So Sonjeongneung is actually a park of royal tombs, so you see all of these like kings and queens tombs, and you also have these like hanoks. It was really pretty, it's very quiet, people are looking. It's a walking trail, so it's in nature and it's beautiful, it's green, so I could totally recommend going there. It's not very popular, but I wish it was because it's really nice and it's really calm and quiet. So if you're like me who loves having a cup of tea and going there to read, well, that is a good spot to do that. And some advice if you're coming to Seoul. So if you're coming to Seoul and you don't know what to do at all, you don't know what apps that you need to use, I'll give you a list of apps that you're going to use. So the first one is Naver Map or Kakao Map. So Google Maps and Apple Map don't really work in Korea, but Kakao Map and Naver Map will give you the best directions, and it gives you like the hours of trains, buses, and everything that you need is in Naver Map. And you should also download Kakao T, where you can actually call taxis if you're going home really late at night. Kakao T helps you to order like Uber does, so you can order a taxi, and then so it is quite convenient when you're going home really late, and the taxis aren't as expensive as it is in Europe, so I could totally recommend taking the taxi. And if you're a group of friends, don't take the bus, it costs more. Just take a taxi and just share the cab. And you should also download Papago translation app, because Papago actually translates mostly correctly and conveniently, so that'll help you to find your way and just read the menus and everything, because in Korea not many people speak English fluently, so I would recommend to have a Korean translator app so that you don't get lost and you don't feel lost at some restaurants. And you will have a Tmoney card. You can buy it from a subway store. It is basically a transportation card, but it also passes on like just 25 and 7-Elevens, so you can actually shop with the Tmoney card. Unique Seoul experiences are PC방 and the cafe culture and the jimjibang, the sauna. I haven't been to a sauna in Korea because I'm not a big fan of saunas, but you should know that it is big in Korea and people actually do go to jimjibangs. So yeah, and PCbangs I've been, and it's really fun to play games with your friends and just you know, order food and play games with, you know, your friends. And yeah, it's beautiful and it's fun. You should try it once if you have time. And the cafe culture I mentioned is really big in Korea. So because people work a lot, they rely on coffee a lot, and the cafe culture is very, very, very common. And you know, you should visit some cafes that are recommended because they're crazy and they're really pretty. So I would totally recommend. And if you have another day where you can spend the whole day out of Seoul, my recommendation is to go to Nami Island. Nami is not quite far from Seoul. It's like an hour ride with the subway, and then you take a cab to go to the island, and you take a ferry and you go to the island, and it's quite beautiful. And you can spend the day walking around, having lunch, and then just picnicking and going to shops. I personally could recommend just walking around the island, listening to some of the concerts and going to some activities. They have these tours and they have these like games and activities like dancing and music. So going there on a weekend might be a little bit hectic, but it is also fun. So I could recommend going to Nami Island. It is quite accessible by train, so you know, if you want to do it, just do it. And Incheon is quite nice too, but it's a bit far than Nami, so I don't know if you'd actually want to go to Incheon if you don't have much time. And Incheon is actually a different city, so I don't know. And lastly, I would like to say thank you for watching this video, and I hope it was helpful to find your way and it helped you a little bit to getting to learn Korea, getting to learn Seoul and its neighborhoods and what to do, and some advice on palaces and some cultural activities, and also cafe recommendations. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel as well, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!